Hello and welcome. It's Melissa here from Morva Crafts. Hope you're all well. I'm in the craft room. The weather has turned here in Cornwall. The rain is coming down. I love the heat. I know lots of you struggle with it, but for me, I absolutely love it and don't like the cold, the wet, the windy weather at all. But it does give a great reason to get in the craft room. So today I thought I'd bring you a card using some ink blending. A little bit different to the last video because we're going to be using a stencil. The card itself, quite straightforward. Ink blend over the stencil, matte and layer, pop on a sentiment and a few sparkles, and we're good to go. Make such a pretty card. Okay, let's get going. Okay, so the stencil I'm going to use is Magnificent Magnolias from Gina K Designs. It's a 4-piece stencil. 2 layers create the flowers, 2 layers create the leaves and the stem. My top tip would be for any layering stencil is just make sure they're all ready to go in the correct order. So just down at the bottom there, you can see they're labelled with their name, Magnificent Magnolias, and a number 1. The others are obviously 2, 3, 4. So if you've got them all ready to go, you can't make a mistake. Not that it would really matter, you would just go with it. I have more than once blended one upside down and had it that way. Doesn't matter at all. But it would just make life easier if they're all ready to go in the right order. I've got a piece of card, just slightly bigger than an A2 card panel. So this is 4.5 by 6, ready to go. And then that means I can just cut out the panel once I've blended using Master Layers 2, and I'll be using the stitched die for that. And I have my MISTI with my grip mat in. So we're going to place our card into our MISTI. And get that stuck down. Get our first stencil, pop that on. I'm just looking to line it up with about the 2.5 mark. It just means that I can easily see where I'll need to place the stencils when I come to the next 3. And then I'm going to add some post-it notes just along the top so that I don't catch that white piece of card, because I haven't decided where I'm going to cut out yet. I might decide I want a little bit of that white at the top. So that's when post-it notes are your best friend, or masking magic is another alternative you could use. Then we're going to need our ink holder, some ink. I'm going to go with the teals. So we have sea glass, turquoise sea and tranquil teal ready, plus some brushes. I have a standard blending brush to do the overall flower, and then I've got a detail brush just to come in with some of the darker colour. Okay, let's make a start at some blending. So I'm just going to top up my brush with some ink. I still haven't re-inked the sea glass, so as you can see there's not a huge amount coming off. But I start on the plastic and then in circular motions pop the ink onto the card through the stencil. So I will take a little bit of care first to get all over coverage, and then I'll pick up that colour again and start making it a little bit darker. It's always best if you can to come in a little bit at a time rather than going in really heavy-handed. So we're just going to carefully work over each one. The lines are quite fine on this one, so I don't want to be too heavy or too fast to press too hard, because I don't want those lines to shift. So just going to keep doing each flower. It's a perfect day for crafting today. The weather turned yesterday in Cornwall. The heat wave has left us. It's still warm, but it's now raining. Rained yesterday, raining today. So I know lots of you out there struggle with the heat. I love the heat. I dread the winter. I don't like the rain, the wind, the ice, the snow. We do get snow occasionally in Cornwall. Sometimes it's not quite when you expect it either. You think November, December, January, yes, but once or twice we've had it in April. And we're not used to snow, so we all forget how to do anything when it's snowing. There we go, that's the first layer on. So then we're going to need layer 2. I think I might just add a little bit more, the turquoise sea to this layer. So the next stencil's going to be picking out some of the areas, but I think I just want it a little bit darker. So I'm not going over the whole thing, I'm leaving the top edges of the flowers so they stay that lighter colour. And when you blend like this, it doesn't look like you've put a lot down, but as soon as you remove the stencil, it's surprising. Also, as I said, my ink pads need re-inking, so I know I'm not getting a huge amount down anyway. There we go, peel and reveal. And with your stencil, you just need to give that a quick run under the tap, or you can spritz it with water and wipe, or you can use rubbing alcohol. So just going to add our next layer. It's fairly easy to line up because they should go over the white lines there. Sorry, that wasn't a very helpful description, but you'll see it. As soon as you put it down, you'll see it. I'll just put my tranquil teal away, not tranquil teal, turquoise sea, and I still need it. Let's get that back out. So coming in again at the base and going upwards so that I end up with a little bit darker colour at the bottom, a little bit lighter towards the top. You don't have to do that, of course, that's my choice. You can just colour block it all the way over. And there we go. And then I think, as I said, I'm going to add just a little bit of the tranquil teal at the base of some of the petals. So I've got out my little detail blending brush, and you can see that's a much darker ink. So for these ones, I'm going to come in towards the bottom. And just going heavier handed in the middle. And for these, just a little bit heavier handed at the base. Okay, shall we see what that looks like? There we go, so pretty. Okay, I'll go and give those 2 stencils a wash and then we'll come back and do the leaves. Okay, so next we're going to do our leaves and our stems. So again, just laying our stencil down roughly at that 2.5 mark and then looking through to place it in the right spot. They're quite easy to line up, these ones. There we go. Now in terms of greens, I want it's a little bit of whatever's left on my brush, which I think is probably key lime. Yeah, definitely key lime. So I have that already out in case I need to top it up. It's amazing sometimes how much ink is still on your brushes. I don't have a brush for each colour. I have 2, sometimes 3 for each colour family. So for the greens I've got 2, a light and a dark. But for the pinky reds I've got 3, 4. Tranquil teal, the sea glass, the other one whose name escapes me, I've got 2, one for light, one for dark. So I've just gone over with a light wash with the key lime. I think I'm going to add some little clover. Oh, that is quite bright. I think that'll look okay. This one's really juicy, so you can see I'm only needing the tiniest amount. Okay, so that's that layer done. Beautiful. And the last layer. So just going to come with something a bit darker. Again, I'm going to start with just what's on my brush. Ooh, helps if I actually stick it down. So this is most likely jelly bean green. Just pop a tad more on my brush. And I might just switch to a detail brush just so I can come in at the bottom of each leaf and make it a little bit darker. That was a bit heavy-handed. As I say, because of the smoothing agent, that'll be fine. It'll blend out as it dries. And there we go. Very pretty. So by the power of television, we have our panel ready. Apologies, I'd stopped the recording and didn't start it again. But I've just taken it off the grip mat. That's the only thing I've done. And I've got out my master layouts too. So as I said, I'm going to just cut this out of the stitched panel. And then I'm going to want the bigger one as well. So that's going to cut out my flower. That's going to cut out a layer for the panel to sit on. Then that will go onto a card blank. I already have one here ready. Just need to decide what colour to cut that out of. And then we need a sentiment and a few gems. So quite simple, but simply pretty. Okay, so we've got our cutting mat. And now I can decide where I want this to go. Do I want to include the flower and a bit of space? Do I want to cut it off? I think a little bit of white space, but just a smidge, not much. Right there, I think. So I'm going to take that down and cut that out. Okay, so have those cut out. Seems a shame to cut off the flower. Of course, could have gone with a bigger card. That would have worked. And at the moment, I've cut a back panel out of sea glass. So I'm going to give that a try. I think that looks lovely. I'm completely out of turquoise sea, otherwise I could have tried it with that. I think I'll go with the sea glass. I think that's going to look lovely. Yep. There we go. So let's get that layered together. There we go, and that's going to go on there. My card base is a slightly different white card, which is a little bit annoying, but I think I'll go with it. I think I'm just being super picky. I'm also running out of glue. I need to refill my glue, re-ink my ink pads. My jobs just never end. At least they're nice jobs. There we go. It didn't look a lot of glue, but it'd be absolutely fine. Okay, so for the sentiment, I've got out the Graceful Greetings set. This is a stamp, die and polyglaze. And as I've said before on videos, whenever I stamp, or polyglaze for that matter, I make extras so that I already have some ready. So here's my little collection of these that I have, and I have a Tranquil Teal. It's black, which is what I most commonly use, and these are the silver and gold foil I've used at this point. Silver foil and gold foil are just beautiful, as are all the other colours that Gina does. So let's get one of those stuck down. I've got one out here ready that I have just layered together. So there's 3 layers, 2 white card and then one with the Tranquil Teal stamp sentiment on the top. Then I've got my embellishments ready. I've got the Gina K Dazzling diamonds and a pick and stick tool. So I'm just going to pick some of these out and have a think where we'd like them. So pretty. Never used to be one for embellishments. It's funny how we change as crafters. Now I don't think I can do a card without embellishments. So place those on. And there we have it. A really simple card using ink blending. Just bring that up for you a little bit closer. Look at the sparkle on those. Beautiful. You can see I have another one ready. I needed to make a couple of thank you cards, so I made a second one at the same time. And here's the one I'd made earlier. So exactly the same but in pinks. So I had used, what did I use? I used light carnation and medium carnation for the pinks. Then for the card on the back, that's innocent pink, the coloured cardstock. The same gems, beautiful. So thank you very much for watching. If you made it through to the end, that's brilliant. I really appreciate it. I'm going to do that thing all the YouTubers do now and say, if you could like and subscribe, that would be amazing. I am trying to grow the channel, trying to grow my business and get some of these beautiful products out there. Yep, so thank you and goodbye.